Your child is sitting at the dinner table. You have prepared a meal. They look at the plate, they push it away, and without even thinking, you say the words that every parent has said at some point. Just take one bite. It sounds reasonable. It sounds gentle. It sounds like exactly what a caring parent should say. But here is what nobody tells you. That simple phrase is triggering something inside your child's brain. Something biological. Something powerful. Something that actually makes them less hungry than they were before you said it. When you ask your child to take just one bite, you are activating their stress response system. Their body begins releasing hormones designed for survival situations. And those hormones do something very specific. They suppress appetite completely. This is called pressure to eat, and it is the first of 4 feeding mistakes that parents make every single day without realizing they are doing it. By the time we finish here, you will understand all 4 of these mistakes. You will know exactly why they backfire, and most importantly, you will know precisely how to reverse them. Let me give you the full picture before we dive deep into each one. Mistake number 1 is pressure to eat. This includes everything from obvious demands to surprisingly gentle encouragement. And it all creates the same problem. Mistake number 2 is becoming a short-order cook. This is what happens when your child refuses dinner and you make them something different. It feels like problem solving. It is actually creating a bigger problem. Mistake number 3 is distracted eating. That tablet or phone keeping your child calm during meals, it is preventing their brain from ever learning how to eat properly. And mistake number 4 is limiting sensory exposure. When you stop your child from touching food or making a mess, you are skipping the only step that actually makes new foods feel safe to them. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Most parents are making all 4 of these mistakes right now, and they are making them for the best possible reason. Because they love their children, and they want them to eat. That love is not the problem. The strategies are the problem. And strategies can be changed. Let us start with the biggest one. Mistake 1, pressure to eat. What pressure actually sounds like? You probably already recognize the obvious forms of pressure. Things like telling your child they cannot leave the table until they finish, or counting bites, or offering dessert as a reward for eating vegetables. But here is what catches most parents by surprise. Gentle pressure is still pressure, and it often sounds like this. Just try a tiny bit for me. You loved this last time. Remember? Look how yummy this is. See? Mommy is eating it. Your brother already finished his plate. You want to grow up big and strong, right? These phrases feel supportive. They feel encouraged. They feel exactly what a good parent should say. But to your child's brain, every single one of these statements registers as pressure. And pressure triggers a very specific biological response. The biology behind the backfire, let me explain what is happening inside your child's body when they feel pressured to eat. The moment their brain detects that someone is trying to make them do something they do not want to do, an alarm goes off. This alarm lives in a part of the brain designed to detect threats, and it responds by flooding the body with stress hormones. These hormones are designed for dangerous situations. Running from predators, fighting off attackers, escaping threats. They are not designed for sitting calmly and eating dinner. When these hormones enter your child's bloodstream, digestion slows down dramatically. Appetite disappears. The body prepares for survival mode, not mealtime mode. So here's the paradox. The more you encourage your child to eat, the less physically hungry they become. Your encouragement is literally suppressing their appetite. But it gets worse. Each time this happens, your child's brain creates an association. This food equals stress. This mealtime equals pressure. This experience equals something to avoid. So the next time they see that same food, their resistance is even stronger. Not because they are being difficult, but because their brain has filed that food under the category of threats. The restaurant scenario, let me help you feel this from your child's perspective. Imagine you are sitting in a restaurant. You are not particularly hungry. Maybe you are a little tired. And someone is standing right next to your table, watching every bite you take. They keep saying things like, "Come on, just eat a little more." And you seem to like this last week. And everyone else is enjoying their food. Why are you not eating? How would that make you feel? Would you suddenly become hungry? Would you start enjoying your meal? Of course not. You would feel tense. You would feel watched. You might even start to resent the restaurant itself. That is exactly what your child experiences when meals come with pressure. Every single time. The control dynamic, there is another layer to this that most parents miss entirely. The moment you say just one bite, eating stops being about hunger. It starts being about power, about who is in charge, about autonomy. And here's the thing about toddlers and young children. They are developmentally wired to fight for independence. That is not a flaw. That is healthy development. They are supposed to be testing boundaries and asserting control over their own bodies. So when eating becomes a battle of wills, your child will dig in. They will refuse. They will say they are not hungry even when they are, because winning the power struggle feels more important to their developing brain than the food itself. I have seen this pattern documented countless times. A child eats something without issue one day. The next time it appears on the plate, they refuse it. The parent negotiates. The child refuses harder. The parent pushes. The child completely shuts down. Nothing changed about the food. But now the meal is about control instead of nourishment. The solution: releasing control. So what do you do instead? You follow a framework that feeding specialists have been researching for decades. It is called the division of responsibility. Here is how it works. You, as the parent, are responsible for three things: what food is served, when meals and snacks happen, and where eating takes place. Your child is responsible for two things: whether they eat at all and how much they eat. That is the entire framework. Simple to understand. Challenging to implement. Absolutely transformative when you commit to it. In practice, this looks like putting food on the table without commentary. Sitting down and enjoying your own meal. Having pleasant conversation that has nothing to do with what anyone is or is not eating, and allowing your child complete autonomy over their own plate. No counting bites, no bargaining, no hovering, no praise for eating, no disappointment for not eating. When the meal is over, the meal is over. No negotiations. I know what you are thinking right now. You are thinking that your child will just eat nothing. And at first, they might test that. They might eat very little. But that is temporary. That is them learning that the new rules are real. We will talk more about what to expect later. For now, just understand that removing pressure is the foundation everything else builds upon. Mistake 2. Shorter cooking the nightly cycle. Let me describe a scene that plays out in countless homes every evening. You spend time preparing a proper meal. Real food. Balanced nutrition. Something the whole family can eat together. You put it on the table. Your child looks at it. Their faces fall. They say they do not want it. You try to stay patient. You encourage them to try it. They refuse. Maybe they whine. Maybe they start to melt down. You are exhausted. You have been working all day. You just want everyone to eat something and get through the evening peacefully. So you ask what they want instead, and they name one of their safe foods. Plain pasta, peanut butter sandwich, cheese and crackers. Something easy? You make it, they eat it. Peace is restored. This is called shorter cooking, and it is silently sabotaging your child's relationship with food. Why this backfires here is what your child's brain learns every time this happens. Resistance produces results. If they wait long enough and refuse hard enough, something better appears. They never have to eat anything unfamiliar. They never have to try anything new. They just have to hold out. But there is a deeper problem. Research on food acceptance tells us something crucial. Children need to be exposed to a new food somewhere between 10 and 20 times before it starts to feel safe enough to try. Not eat it. Just see it. Be in the presence of it. Watch other people eat it. When you make backup meals, those exposures never happen. The unfamiliar food gets removed before your child's brain has a chance to file it under the familiar category. It stays foreign. It stays threatening. It never becomes safe. The shrinking menu, but the most frightening part is what happens over time. When backup meals become the norm, children do not just stay at their current level of pick. They actually become more selective. Their list of acceptable foods shrinks instead of grows. This pattern appears in study after study. Parents start offering pasta whenever the child refuses dinner. Within weeks, the child begins refusing foods they used to accept. Foods that were never a problem before suddenly become unacceptable. Why? Because why would they eat the chicken when they know the pasta is coming? Why accept anything less than their absolute favorite when they have learned that their favorite is always available as an option? The backup meal becomes the only meal. And now you have a child who eats 4 or 5 foods total. The solution, strategic structure. So what do you do when your child refuses dinner? First, you plan your weekly menu in advance. Nothing elaborate. Write down 7 to 10 meals that your family eats. Real meals. Not just kid-approved meals. Put them in a simple rotation that repeats weekly. Why repetition? Because predictability creates safety. When your child knows that Tuesday is always pasta night and Thursday is always chicken night, meals become less threatening. They know what to expect. Second, and this is critical, you include one safe food within every meal. Something you know your child will eat: bread, plain rice, fruit, cheese, something simple and nutritious. But here is the key distinction that changes everything. Short order cooking happens after your child refuses the meal. The safe food is served before they even sit down. Do you see the difference? With a safe food strategy, your child is never facing a plate with nothing they can eat. They always have an option. But you are not replacing the family meal in response to their refusal. If they eat nothing but bread for dinner, that is their choice. But the salmon and vegetables stay on the table. They see it. They smell it. Their brain logs another exposure. That is progress, even if they eat none of it. Third, serve family style whenever possible. Put food in bowls in the center of the table. Let your child serve themselves if they are old enough. Let them touch the food, move it around. Decide what goes on their plate. The goal is exposure without pressure. Let them interact with food without demanding that they eat it. Setting expectations here is what you need to prepare yourself for. In the beginning, your child might only eat safe food at every single meal. The bread, the rice, the fruit, whatever you included. This will feel like failure. It is not a failure. It is a foundation building. You are teaching them that meals are predictable, that no one is going to force them, that new foods can exist on the table without being threatening. And once that trust is established, once they feel genuinely safe at mealtime, that is when curiosity begins to appear. That is when they start reaching for something new. Not because you told them to, because they wanted to. Mistake number 3, distracted eating. A simple test. I want you to think about something right now. What would happen if you served your child's next meal without a screen? No tablet, no phone, no television in the background? Would they sit calmly and eat, or would they panic? Refuse to eat at all. Claim they are not hungry for the exact same food they ate happily yesterday with a screen in front of them. If removing the screen would cause that reaction, you have just discovered something important about your child's relationship with food. Distracted eating has disconnected them from their own hunger signals. They are not refusing to eat. They have never learned how to eat without the distraction. The skill was never developed. The science of attention and eating here is something that will change how you think about mealtimes forever. The brain cannot encode sensory food experiences without focused attention. Let me explain what that means. When a screen is playing during a meal, your child is not paying attention to the food. They are not noticing the texture. They are not registering the taste. They are not processing the smell. They are not feeling the gradual shift from hungry to satisfied. Their brain is somewhere else entirely. The food is just going in automatically. Now, here is the part that shocks most parents. Your child could eat the same food 100 times with a screen on, and their brain might never register it as familiar because they were not present. Because the experience did not encode, it is almost like they never ate it at all. From a learning perspective, those meals did not count. Your own experience, think about the last time you ate while scrolling through your phone. You finished the meal. You looked down at an empty plate. You barely remembered tasting anything. Maybe you did not even feel satisfied. Maybe you felt like you had not really eaten at all. You were not present. The experience did not register. You got the calories but missed the meal. The exact same thing happens to your child during every distracted meal. Every single one. Long-term consequences. Before you spiral into guilt, let me be clear about something. This is not about bad parenting. This is about how brains learn. It is about neuroplasticity. It is about the fact that every distracted meal is essentially a missed opportunity for learning. Over time, distracted eating creates several problems. First, texture and sensory avoidance. When children never learn what foods feel like in their mouth, when they never process those sensations consciously, new textures become overwhelming. They never built tolerance. Second, disconnection from internal signals. They cannot tell when they are hungry. They cannot tell when they are full. They eat based on external cues. Screen on means eat. Screen off means do not eat. Their body's natural signals have been overridden. Third, no positive emotional connection to eating. Meals do not feel enjoyable. Eating feels like something that happens to them passively, not something they actively do and experience. The pattern that traps parents here is what I see documented over and over. A child eats perfectly fine when a tablet is playing in front of them. The parent tries to remove the screen. The child panics, refuses food, says they are not hungry. The parent thinks the child needs the screen to eat. They think the screen is helping, but that is exactly backwards. The child cannot eat without the screen because they never learned how. The screen bypassed the entire learning process. Now they are dependent on it. Not because screens help eating, but because they never developed the ability to eat without one. The solution? Gradual transition. If screens are currently part of every meal, you do not have to remove them overnight. That would be too much disruption at once. Your child would feel unsafe. Meal times would become a war zone. Instead, you step down gradually. During the first week, swap visual media for audio only. Replace the tablet with an audiobook or calm music. You have removed the visual distraction while keeping auditory comfort. This single change makes a significant difference. During the second week, start reducing screen time during the meal itself. Turn the show off 5 minutes before the meal ends. Then 10 minutes. Then start with the screen off for the first 5 minutes of the meal. By weeks 3 and 4, you are building tolerance for fully focused eating. The transition feels gradual, natural, not traumatic. While you are making this transition, model what mindful eating looks like. Talk about the food in a noticing way, not a pressuring way. Say things like, "This is really crunchy," or "I like the way this smells," or "This rice is so warm," or "I'm getting full, so I'm going to slow down." You are teaching them to pay attention, to notice what they are experiencing, to be present with food. This is a skill they need, and you can help them build it. Mistake number 4, limited sensory exposure. The misunderstanding: your child sits at the table. A plate of food sits in front of them. They stare at it. They do not touch it. They do not bring it close. They push the plate away and say they do not want it. Most parents interpret this as refusal. The child rejected the food. They tried it and said no. But developmental research reveals something completely different. That child did not refuse the food. They never reached the stage where refusal was even possible, because they never touched it. How children actually learn food, here is something every parent needs to understand. Children learn food through touch long before they learn it through taste. There is a developmental sequence to food acceptance. It follows a specific progression. First, they see the food from a distance, on the table, on other people's plates, just visual exposure. Then they touch the food, poke it, pick it up, squish it in their fingers, feel what it is like. Then they smell the food, bring it close to their face. Inhale, then they lick the food. A quick taste without commitment. Then they bite the food. An actual piece goes in their mouth. Then they chew and swallow. Full acceptance. Most parents try to skip directly to steps 5 and 6, and then they wonder why their child will not eat. When you skip the sensory exploration phase, the squishing, the smelling, the poking, you are skipping a critical step in the acceptance process. You are asking your child to do something their brain is not ready for. Why parents skip this step? I understand completely why this happens. It is because of the mess. Parenting is already exhausting. You have already cleaned the high chair more times than you can count today. You just want them to eat the food, not finger paint with the mashed potatoes. So everything gets served pre-cut, pre-portioned, fork ready, clean, efficient, no mess. I get it, you are tired. But here is the unintended consequence. Children need to feel safe with food before they will eat it. And safety is built through sensory integration, through touching, through smelling, Through looking up close, through bringing food near their mouth without eating it, through maybe licking it and putting it back down. This is how their brain processes the message that something is not a threat. This is how unfamiliar becomes familiar. This is how scary becomes safe. The neuroscience. There is actual neural development happening when children bring their hands to their face with food. It builds the pathway between hand exploration and oral exploration. This is literally brain architecture being constructed. This is why babies smear food everywhere. All over their face, in their hair, on the walls. It is not bad manners. It is not being messy on purpose. It is brain building. When you skip straight to demanding that food goes in their mouth, you are asking them to jump over a step their brain has not completed yet. It is like asking someone to run before they have learned to walk. The foundation is not there. What progress actually looks like? Let me share a pattern that appears consistently in feeding research. A child who avoided all vegetables was allowed to explore without any pressure to eat. During the first 2 weeks, he poked a cucumber. Just poked it. He smelled a bell pepper. Made a face. Put it down. He squished a cooked carrot in his hand. I thought it was funny. During weeks 3 and 4, he started bringing food closer to his face. He licked a cucumber, spit it out. That was fine. He touched a carrot to his lips. By months 2 and 3, he took a tiny bite of cucumber. Did not swallow. That was still progress. Then he actually ate a piece of roasted carrot. That child went from eating 0 vegetables to willingly eating several, all because his parents let him explore instead of demanding that he eat. Touching or smelling counts as exposure progress. It is not wasted time. It is not just playing. It is the foundation. The solution, embracing exploration at mealtimes. Serve food and let your child interact with it however they want. No expectation that anything goes in their mouth. They can touch it, poke it, smell it, put it on their fork and put it back down. Lick it and spit it out. If they touch the broccoli, that is a win. If they smell the salmon, that is progress. If they lick the carrot and make a face, that is learning. You can also create these opportunities outside of meals when there is 0 pressure about eating. Cook it together, let them wash vegetables. Stir ingredients, handle raw foods. Go grocery shopping together, let them pick up fruits and vegetables. Feel the textures, play sorting games with food, sort by color, by size, by texture. Create sensory bins with dry pasta, beans or rice. Every interaction builds familiarity. Every touch reduces fear. During meals, serve family style whenever possible. Put food in bowls on the table. Let them plate themselves. Let them touch and rearrange. Let them take food off their plate and put it back. Yes, it is messier. But mess is learning. If your child has sensory sensitivities or strong texture aversions, this approach becomes even more important. You are not pushing them to eat. You are giving them safe ways to explore at their own pace. That is where real change happens. Not through force, through patient, pressure-free exposure. Addressing parent fears. Fear number 1. They will not eat anything. This is the fear that drives all the counterproductive behavior. Negotiating. The backup meals. The screens. The pressure, the instinct to ensure your child is fed is one of the most powerful drives you have. It is biological. It is primal. It is completely understandable. So let me address it directly. For a healthy, growing child, the body has reliable hunger regulation systems. 1 refused meal will not cause harm. 2 refused meals will not cause harm. Even 3 refused meals will not cause harm. Their body will tell them to eat. Hunger will return, usually by the very next scheduled snack or meal. Now, an important caveat. If your child has a specific medical condition, if there are concerns about their growth, if your pediatrician has expressed worry, please talk to your doctor before making changes. This advice is for typical picky eaters, not children with medical complications. But for the majority of picky eaters, they are healthy children testing boundaries, and they will not let themselves starve. Research on appetite regulation shows something fascinating. Children sometimes need to experience genuine hunger in order to reconnect with their internal cues. When we constantly prevent them from ever feeling hungry by offering endless alternatives, they lose touch with what hunger actually feels like. Trust that hunger will return. It will. Fear number 2, sensory issues. If your child has sensory processing differences, these strategies become more important, not less. You are not lowering standards. You are giving them the tools to build tolerance at their own pace. If you are concerned about a sensory processing disorder specifically, consider consulting with a pediatric occupational therapist. They can assess whether your child's responses are within the typical range or need additional support. But either way, the core principles remain the same. No pressure. Safi exposure patient exploration. Fear number 3. Perfection. You do not have to do this perfectly. Some days you will be exhausted and give them crackers for dinner. That is okay. Some days you will bribe them with dessert because you just need them to eat something. That is okay. Some days you will turn on the tablet because it is the only way to survive the meal. That is okay. Progress is consistency over time, not perfection in every moment. What matters is the overall pattern you are building. One difficult day does not undo weeks of good work. One backup meal does not erase all the progress. You are building a foundation, and foundations can handle a few cracks. Timeline of change. Let me set realistic expectations so you know what is coming. During the first few weeks, nothing will change. Your child will continue eating only their safe foods. They might even eat less than before as they test the new boundaries. This is normal. This is the testing phase. This is where most parents give up because it feels like the approach is not working. But if you stay consistent, something shifts around weeks 3 through 6. Children begin interacting with new foods differently. A poke here, a smell there, maybe a lick. They might touch something unfamiliar and put it back down. They might ask what something is on your plate. The walls are starting to come down. Trust is building. Over the following months, real expansion begins. Children who ate 4 or 5 foods start accepting 10, 12, or more. They begin asking to try things. They become curious rather than fearful. New foods still take time, but the resistance fades. And something else happens that parents do not expect. Mealtimes become calm. The fighting stops, the stress dissolves. Dinner becomes something the family actually enjoys. Not because you found a magic trick, because you stopped trying to control eating, and you started trusting your child's developmental readiness to lead the way. Let me bring everything together. Mistake number 1 is pressure to eat. The solution is removing all pressure and trusting your child's hunger cues. You decide what, when, and where. They decide whether and how much. Mistake number 2 is short order cooking. The solution is serving one family meal that includes one safe food. Stay consistent. Repeat the same meals weekly. Let exposure build naturally. Mistake number 3 is distracted eating. The solution is transitioning away from screens gradually. Model mindful eating. Build their tolerance for focused meal. Mistake number 4 is limited sensory exposure. The solution is letting them touch, smell, and explore without any pressure to eat. Embrace the mess. Trust the process. Small, consistent changes lead to big results. You do not have to overhaul everything tonight. You do not have to be perfect. You just have to start. Pick one thing from everything we covered. Implement it this week. See what happens? Now you know what not to do. You understand the 4 mistakes. You know how to fix them. But there is one ingredient we have not discussed yet. The thing that makes children actually want to try new foods. Not because they are pressured, not because they are bribed, because they genuinely want to. French parents use this ingredient automatically. American parents accidentally remove it from nearly every meal. And it has nothing to do with pressure, screens, or backup meals. That is coming next.